Alright, hi everyone. This is the second part I'm reading Huntress by Tamora Pierce. So, I reached down for my backpack, hiding my chest so he wouldn't see his effect on me. Isn't it dangerous? When I sat up, I cradled my pack, just in case he was looking at my two perky tits. We go as a group, Jeffrey said. Our gang, remember? Have to be safe, Reed said. Sprawled over her section of the table. Parental units throw a fit if they find out you're out in the scary old park. Felix ran a hand down my arm. Of course the bell rang and monitors came out to move us along to class. Felix grabbed my wrist and tugged me down till his lips brushed the little sun on the top of my ear. The next full moon come out with us, he whispered. We meet at the East 97th Street entrance, and go for a run to the lock, just the Pride. You really want to be one of us? Want to be one of my lionesses, right? You maybe even replace Reed one day as Queen of the Hunt. So come. Not a word to anybody, Corey. Pride business. 9 o'clock the night of the full moon. I had laughed at the idea of the Pride as a gang, but as a way to erase the misery of the last few years, it was pure gold. The presidents of the new senior and junior classes for next year belong to the Pride, as well as the captains of both track teams and both soccer teams. Okay, so Felix seemed to be the boyfriend of almost all the girls off and on, sorry. The guys didn't seem to mind. Rich kids were different. A little Felix was better than none, maybe, or maybe he'd settle for only me. I wouldn't be alone anymore. I wouldn't be weird or strange. I'd belong not as a happy outsider like Mom and her family, but as a happy insider, smooth and tan and laughing, like my dad and his new family. As choices went, this one was easy. Excuse me, so I was there the night of the full moon, dressed to run, but dressed for Felix too, in a black tank top and running shorts that hugged what I had. Thought about leaving my crescent pendant at home, but I left it on. How many people knew what it was anymore? A lot of girls wore them as jewelry without knowing they had any religious meaning, or caring if they knew. I added a snake earring and a couple of gem studs, fixed a gold chain in my braid, and was ready to go. No bracelets, no ankle bracelets, not when I ran. I carried my phone, my water, towel, and other things I hoped I might need in my backpack. Felix and some of the other guys of the Pride looked me over and made happy noises. Felix backed a couple of them off with slaps on the chest that could have been serious. The lionesses wore shorts like me, or cropped cargo pants, short blouses, and running shoes. The guys wore shorts and t-shirts summer wear. When Reed finally showed, wearing cargo pants, we set out across the park, a group of about 7 girls and 8 guys. Other people were out. It was still early enough, and the moon was starting to rise. We passed dog walkers and other runners, bicyclists, skateboarders, rollerbladers, men sitting alone on benches with paper bags beside them, men seated alone on benches waiting, arms stretched out on the backs of the benches, legs spread wide, a warning in flesh not to come too close. The girls of the group moved inside, the guys outside, though no one seemed nervous or even like they paid attention. I wondered what Mom was doing now. There were peepers chirping all around us from the trees that circled the meadows. We moved out into the grass and toward the rocks that led to the oldest part of Central Park, where trees from the old island had been left to grow beside Olmsted's carefully chosen plantings. I could hear an owl somewhere close by. There were bugs everywhere, big ones, some of them. A moth fluttered past. A rippling shadow darted after it and surrounded it. The bat moved on, but not the moth. Central Park, which seemed so people-friendly when we did our practices there during the day, was showing its real face now. I touched my snake earring, thinking about the hidden world, the one my family knew. We moved into a smaller meadow near the rocks and trees. Our hunting ground, Felix said, looping an arm around my neck. One of them, anyway. This was our first ground. This is where we became a Pride. A person could get lost back in those trees. A person could get found, said one of the guys. The boys laughed. The girls didn't. They put their stuff in a heap and began to stretch, getting ready to run. Put your gear down, Felix said. We'll keep an eye on it. It used to be around here we couldn't do that, but things have changed You, a big guy, ragged and swaying, lurched over to us. You stinking kids. You play games with my friend and leave him in the street like garbage. Felix let me go and faced the homeless guy, fiddling with his long braid and its ornaments. Which hunt was he? Felix asked, sounding bored. I guess you're talking about one of our hunts, loser. You made him run onto Fifth Avenue. The man accused. His eyes glittered in the moonlight as he watched the Pride fan out around him. Everywhere I saw shadowy figures moving, but none came to help or stop whatever was happening. This was a harder end of the park, closer to Spanish Harlem. I would never have come there alone. That one? Asked Jeffries with a yawn. He wagged his dick at Han. My feelings were hurt, Han said with a pout. It wasn't even a good dick. You chased him and got him killed. The big guy snarled. I'm gonna fuck you up. He had knives, one in either hand. Little rich bastards think you can run people to death. My head spun as Felix put his arm around my neck again. Okay, Corey, here's how it works, he explained, keeping his eyes on the big guy. The lionesses have their claws. Right, girls? They held up their hands. Oh, my God. They had their Oh my god. They had slim knives I'd never seen before, tucked between their fingers, so a couple of blades jutted out of their fists, like claws. They were busily tying the blades to their palms with leather thongs so they wouldn't fall from their hands. We lions keep him from leaving the grass. The lionesses drive him to you. You have to mark his face without him killing you. What is this turning into? Then you girls drive him onto the rocks, Felix pointed, and the lions chase him down and finish him. You get the trophy to mark your initiation. Oh my god. Felix smiled down on me. Here, your first claw. He handed me a long, slender knife. The trick is to run him till he's too exhausted to see straight. One of these scumbags, it's not hard. They don't have any lungs left because they're eaten up by crack, or their muscles suck because they're too lazy to work. Don't worry about cops. We have watchers, and they don't investigate this kind of thing very hard. They have a saying for it. He looked at the homeless man. Oh my god. No humans involved. My mouth felt stuffed with cotton. I wondered if I'd been drugged, except I'd been drinking from my own water bottle all the way there. That's not funny. Sure it is, Felix told me. Oh my god. One strong, healthy runner against a degenerate bum. It's hilarious. You killed his friend? I asked. I could hear my voice shake. No, Felix replied. That stupid mope ran out in traffic and got killed. Another useless mouth who isn't getting state aid. Corey, you're either a lioness or a mouse. My brain clattered into gear. The drug dealer that got chased. The rapist that got chased. Scum, Felix said patiently. His eyes sparkled oddly in the growing moonlight. Girls, get this hump moving. The lionesses surged forward, running out to circle around the homeless man. They looked small and slight against the shadowy bulk, but they surrounded him. He flailed with his knives. One girl darted in, then another. The man bellowed. No, I cried, and dropped my knife. This isn't an initiation, it's murder. I looked at him, wanting him to be gold again, not this white marble boy with eyes like ice. Felix, are you crazy? I swear I won't tell, but I can't be in a pride like this. He made a cutting motion. The lionesses fell back, except for Reed. She pulled something from a pocket in her cargo pants and showed it to the homeless man. He put up his hands, letting his own knives drop. She had a gun, so this was how they made sure things went their way. She motioned with it. The homeless guy ran, stumbling. He fell once and lurched to his feet. Don't hope he'll bring the cops, Corey, Felix said. His kind knows better. Since you ruined our hunt with him, you'll take his place, which is fine with us. I stared at him. See, the cops will listen to you, Felix explained. Frankly, most of us would rather have you for our prey. You don't belong, Hans said. Not at the academy. You don't understand how to wait your turn, making us eat your shit at the meets this spring. Sure, we laughed. We knew you'd be coming out here with us. She smiled and drew her knives gently down my chest. They didn't cut. This time. My choices were clear. Argue or move. Fast. I broke left out of Felix's hold, away from Han. 3 lionesses blocked my escape on that side. I whirled and darted in the opposite direction, jinking around Reed, then Jeffries, feeling my knees groan as my shoes bit into the turf. I dashed for the rocks, but the lionesses swept down and around me, long-limbed and beautiful, moonlight gleaming on their muscled arms and legs. I'd lost surprise, and I knew all of them were good enough to give me a good run. I set out for the longer meadow to see if I could outlast them. Bad luck. 2 of the lions joined them. I couldn't outrun or outlast lions. I kept running, looking for a way out. All I found was an audience. People had come to line the meadow's edge. Homeless people, kids our age and older in gang colors, real gang colors. Hard-faced women and men on their own, smoking, drinking, and watching. There for a show. They knew. They knew this went on, and they came to see. Still, I had to run. I searched for an opening not covered by a watcher or a member of the Pride. I don't remember how the first lioness crept up on me, but I felt that sharp sting on my back. I stumbled, swerved, clapped my hand behind me, and brought it up before my face. It glittered with blood. I spun and fell, tripping a lioness whose dad was president of some investment bank. She'd been trying to be the second to cut me. I scrambled to my feet and bolted forward again, weaving between 2 more of the lionesses. Now the fear was filling my legs, turning my knees to jelly. The next to break my arm was Reed, who I liked. I got out of her reach and stayed away to ask, "Why are you doing this?" Her eyes were wide and dark and hot. Her teeth shone in a moonlight grin. "Because I can," she said, and fake left. Trying to drag my attention from Beauvais. I turned and dashed, tripped on a wrinkle in the ground, hit and rolled to my feet, flailing with my arms and legs for balance. I felt a blade catch in my shoe. It almost yanked me off balance. Because you don't stay the best without practice. Someone scored a long, shallow cut across my head and ear and forehead, coming out of my blind spot. What the fuck is this story? I bolted and came up against one of the huge boulders that marked the edge of the broken ground leading up into the trees. I scrabbled and crawled onto it, panting as the pride moved in, forming a half circle around the base of the stone. Felix was there, toying with his braid. The lionesses stood with him, panting, some of them leaning on their knees. They were tired. I'd shown them some moves, but my muscles were burning. I felt a bad shiver in my calves and hamstrings, a sign I was overworked. I ripped off my tank top, not caring if every creep in the park saw me in my sports bra. I tore the cloth into strips with hands that quaked. The shallow cut on the side of my head was the worst, dripping blood into the corner of my eye. I needed to get that covered up if I had to run again. Too bad you blew it, Corey, Felix said, his voice almost like sex. Nobody's ever given the lionesses a run like this. The prey is usually blood sushi by now. He was getting off on this, maybe like he'd been getting off on the whole game of luring me in. With my head and my arm bandaged, I grabbed my crescent pendant with one hand, squeezing so hard that the pointed ends bit into my palm, letting the pain clear my head. I wouldn't answer. I needed my breath for running. Screaming was useless. Screaming in Central Park at night was so useless. There, away from the park's roads, the only way I'd get lucky would be if horse cops or undercover cops were somewhere near, and I had a feeling that ring of creeps would warn Felix about them. They wouldn't want anyone to spoil the fun. There was a leaf and earth litter between my boulder and the one behind it. I carefully felt around at my side for what rocks or glass pieces might be there. I'd need them for weapons. Now you can come down here and race the lionesses some more, Felix said. He threw a bottle of water up to me. Or we can play the next level. Shit, I heard one panting lioness say. Pick door number 2, Corey, another of them advised me, her voice hoarse. I stared at them and then at the bottle. For a minute, a black haze fizzed over my vision. My life, my blood, was a game. I reached for the bottle, ready to throw it straight back at his head and say, fuck you. But there was the gun. Reed had a gun. I should drink the water. I'd lost so much fluid. But that was a bad idea, too. I wouldn't have put it past Felix to drug the water to slow me down. He couldn't gamble on the cops being somewhere else all night. He'd want to end this. So I threw it at him after all. He dodged, but I struck Han in the shoulder. She swore at me. Felix only shook his head. A waste. I didn't think you were a hothead, Corey. I ignored him. I'd exhausted the mess of leaves beside me. All I had to show for it was a handful of small stones. It wasn't good enough. I blinked tears away so they wouldn't see me wipe them off. Here's the deal. You come down here or you can go up there. He pointed past me into the rocks and trees of the wilder end of the park. The lions will take over the hunt. They were already stepping back from the girls. Moonlight slid along the knives in their hands. Hey, you might even find your way out up there. Or you might find a friend, someone who's not with the pride. Of course they play kind of rough up here. He grinned as he unsheathed his knife. And if the lions take you, we'll be wanting a little something extra for our trouble. Before... Oh my god. Before we collect our trophy. My stomach rolled. They would rape me, he meant. I'll get out, and you will be so dead, I croaked. When they find the drugs in your backpack, and Reed's family says we were at their place tonight. Our word against yours, Corey. Those very disturbing things you told my lionesses during all those after-practice get-togethers. He shook his head. Sad. You scholarship kids can be so troubled, so out of your element. And I had wanted to be one of them. At least if I don't get out of this, I'll die clean, I mumbled to myself. I looked at the meadow and at the creeps. I looked at the lionesses. They were drinking water and adjusting their blades. I tried to break free out there. I wasn't sure I had the speed to do it now. The thought of letting any of that audience get their hands on me made my skin crawl. Turning my head, I looked back and up at the towering trees. Mom's family called these old parts of the park Godwoods. They said the old gods of the land still lived there. Why was I thinking of their crap now? Look at me, trapped. Look what their gods had done for me. Even the goddess who was supposed to look after me had done nothing. There, she rode in the sky, or so they'd always told me, just a flat white disc. I could count on nothing from her except scratches from the stupid pendant I wore. I began to cry in silent anger. Furious, I shook my blood-streaked fist at the moon. And that's when I saw the broken bottle at the edge of the litter on my boulder. I sat casually, dangling my legs over, hiding my side as I grabbed its long neck. It was warm in my hand. Finally, a weapon I could use to do some damage before the pride cut me down. Do I get a head start? I demanded, wiping my eyes with my free arm. You guys are fresh. I want it. I get into the trees before you so much as take the trail into the rocks. Oh my god. Okay, let me make another video and keep reading.